In today's world of wokeism and cancel culture and spineless people running through the streets screaming that they've been triggered, are Civil War reenactments a good idea? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to Like You Care. I'm Brian Johnson, and today I'm going to read my first news article. I don't mean I'm going to read one for the first time in my life. I mean, on this video series, I'm going to read one and we're going to discuss it, which even that isn't correct. I'm going to give my side of things, and if you want to discuss it, you can email me or leave a comment in the comment section or whatever. Pennsylvania battle reenactors up in arms over fighting ban. Now, what I don't have right now is the cool setup these guys can do where they can put their face in one corner and then the article on the screen, so I'm just going to have to cut to screen grabs as we go through this. But this is from, looks like it's from MSN News. I don't see a different publisher. And I'm just getting used to this here. Although the author, Chris Marr, works for the Wall Street Journal, or his email address is wsj.com. So maybe this is Wall Street Journal. I just don't see any other attribution besides MSN News. Okay, but anyway. A new rule in Pennsylvania that will require reenactors of a 1763 battle to lay down their weapons is drawing fire from a local historical society, the latest skirmish in the reenactment world, which has been diminishing as hobbyists get older and sensitivities about restaging historical events have grown. I was afraid it would come to this. I was afraid that with all of the brouhaha over things as simple as a Confederate flag, that Civil War reenactments would one day be considered taboo. And according to this article, which we'll get to here in a minute, that's already started, and I just haven't been aware of it. But here we go. This is out in Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission said last month that it will no longer permit reenactments on the 23 sites it owns in the state that involve the exchange of fire from weapons, the taking of casualties, and hand-to-hand combat, quote, or any other form of simulated warfare or violence between opposing forces, end quote. The commission said it made the change to align with National Park Service policy. So no one's firing real bullets, but the act, the going out and staging basically a large play on a large real grassy hill as opposed to an auditorium with seats, is now no longer allowed on the 23 sites that the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission is responsible for overseeing. The announcement opened a new front in a dispute with the Bushy Run Battlefield Heritage Society, which said it would have to cancel a battlefield reenactment it has put on every August for the past 40 years as part of a commemoration of a battle between British troops and Native Americans that took place during Pontiac's Rebellion just after the French and Indian War. At a community meeting on Sunday at Bushy Run Park, 25 miles east of Pittsburgh, community members and local lawmakers also decried the new rule. "This is not just a pretend weekend," said Rob Malley, a board member of the local group which touts the educational value of the event. "If this all stands, we have to reinvent ourselves." Now, just the issue of reinventing oneself is not in itself, I don't think, a very strong argument. Organizations form, and then the world changes, and then organizations either change or they close, and there are things that close. Just because an institute has begun does not mean that it will continue in perpetuity. But I certainly understand his disappointment. If you're going to close an organization, you want it to close because you're done, not because the government said, "Hey, you can't do that anymore." In a 10-minute video, I'm not going to have time to read all of this, but basically, yes, the National Park Service, I will read this paragraph because this explains it. The National Park Service has long had a policy barring so-called force-on-force reenactments on federal land. Annual reenactments of the Battle of Gettysburg that feature people in historically accurate uniforms firing antique muskets and cannons have taken place for decades on private property. And the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission apparently holds private property. It says the 23 sites it owns in the state. They will no longer allow these reenactments in line with the National Park Service. There is great educational and historical value in allowing these things. Somebody out there is going to scream that it's promoting white supremacy, or it's promoting the values that the Confederacy held if you do a North versus South. Well, this one, the Bushy Run battlefield one, isn't even talking about a North versus South. They're talking about British troops and Native Americans. It's sad. It's sad that people can't see the difference between presenting history and taking sides. You know, you can present history. Well, I think of a movie. If you put on a movie about the Civil War, and I keep citing the Civil War because that's what most of these reenactments are. But if you put on create a movie about the Civil War, somebody has to play the Southerners. In 12 Years a Slave, somebody had to play the racist slaveholders. And it was Michael, I forget his last name all of a sudden, and he did a frighteningly good job. He was evil. I mean, he just portrayed evil fantastically. We're being governed by, we're not being governed. We're being steered. The people with their hands at the wheel right now are hypersensitive idiots. There, I said it. I think of my own town. Here we go, Redmond, Oregon. 2 summers ago, at our 4th of July parade, a pro-American group, just patriotic, in favor of the Constitution, not racist, not taking, not white supremacist, not anything like that. But what they did was they created a float whereon there was a Union soldier and a Confederate soldier, and the purpose of the little tableau that they created was to recreate the idea, or to bring to mind the idea, that when a nation gets divided, like ours is right now, you get these horrible conflicts like the Civil War. And so the guy was encouraging us to get past the finger pointing and such things, and the heated rhetoric and all of that. But the Confederate soldier was waving a Confederate flag, and I have my own video footage of that. The very presence, just the fact that it was there, that Confederate flag, caused dozens of people at least, I read dozens of comments, who knows how many people were just incensed and didn't write in, but it caused dozens of people to contact the city council, just writing in absolute hysterics and conniption fits, breathlessly, there's a Confederate flag. They couldn't see the difference between a political statement, which that float was not, and a prop, which that flag was. And I have to wonder, how do people like this watch movies like 12 Years a Slave? Or where there are evil people, where Paul Dano actually sang this little ditty, "Run, nigger, run, nigger, run," to the slaves. I mean, an actor had to actually say that dialogue and sing that dialogue in front of black actors, and they all agreed that it was for a good purpose. The ultimate message of the film was good. Well, the ultimate message of the float in the parade was good, and the flag was just a prop. But just the people, I won't say the people in this town, there were some people in this town who just went absolute brainless on that whole issue. And now the Chamber of Commerce that puts on the parade has to check every float beforehand to make sure there's nothing offensive on it. Needless to say, I am on the side of the Bushy Run Battlefield Heritage Society with this, and if I lived in Pennsylvania, I would take up arms over the fighting ban myself.